Hey, gang. Oh, I just realized there's some other stuff not on. Hold on. There we go. Good morning. It's Tuesday. I'm still going live on some other applications. Give me a second here. And I got a dog in my lap. 50-pound dog decides she wants to hide with daddy. All right, they're working. There we go. All right, it's happening. Share that one for this. It's just me today. Oh, just me today. And, well, me and Shady in my lap, just where she wants to be. Not necessarily where I want her to be, but since when do I have? Oh, there she goes. Since when do I have a choice? I guess they heard something. I don't know because they both barked for like a brief second, and that was it. Okay, I think that's everything. Phone lines are open. I'm here today. I've got show notes to go through too. I'm going to just start doing better with that. We're going to bring something else back today. The morning motivation. I had a lot of good things, and it kind of got buried, honestly. And I'm going to make sure that it doesn't get buried anymore. Radio X Country. We're on there now. Radio Live, all of them in Perth, Australia, and throughout Australia. WZQR Talks in Pineland, Florida. DNR Studios, dnrstudios.com, and the DNR Cast app. Download that. Biz Growth Collective, that's one of the things I was still firing up. As well as Chatter. Oh, I got to put that on here too. The new social audio and social video communications app. I've been supporting that since very early on, probably about a year now, actually. KSHP, Las Vegas, 1400 AM and 1071 FM. Right Talk Radio, Rainbow Radio, and Yerg's Radio, and the rest of the Mastiff Media Network. This is up the middle. Politics for the rest of us. I'm Yerg's, a voice that sounds like yours. How so? It's sexy, confident, conservative, liberal, and or progressive. In any combination you can think of. Like I said, phone lines are open, 1-888-88 Yergs, 844-GAY LGBT. I'm going to want you to tell some stories today, along with the one I'm going to tell you. I'm going to start off with Dave Ramsey and a speech he gave at a YouTube convention, and where he actually had the guts to say, it's not just about YouTube. It's about you. That's why I'm doing this. That's why he does what he does. And we're going to let that go into the 5 R's of recovery, a presentation I put together a little while ago. I'm still working on, really. And still working on it, really. It just, I'm ready to start talking about it. Then we'll talk about the fact that we are an authoritarian government. And that's according to the think tanks and the universities, not just me. You know I've been saying it because I know and haven't had a short enough memory to forget about Donald Trump 1.0. And now here we are on 2.0, and people seem to be a little amazed. Not surprised at all. Like, at all. I keep forgetting that. Okay. Oh, you know what else? There we go. One of the apps, Chatter, when I come onto it, I have to. There we go. I have to I have to turn the camera on. It's the only one where this happens. I have to turn the camera on. I have to turn the mic on, and if not, I've done an entire show on Chatter muted because like I said, it's the only one where that's an issue. And I got to move even with my phone all the way down. There's still a volume, and this mic will pick it up. So I got to move the phone to be on Chatter. I have to be on the mobile app, then get on the desktop app. It's crazy. Instagram, Steven, shout out. Thanks for joining. Steven Garanzi on Instagram. I try to catch everybody. And then, let's see. No, I'm setting up some views, how I want things to look. There we go. I want to be able to see on the other one when somebody comes in and joins me. Okay, let's do this. So, yeah, we're an authoritarian government. We are very much at risk of losing the democratic republic that we've had for 200 plus years. Why? Because somebody wants to accept a $400 million Air Force One from a country we probably shouldn't be trusting. Not to mention the fact that it's illegal. And when I say illegal, I don't mean like, oh, there's probably a law somewhere that prohibits it. No, this is in the Constitution. He can't do this without Congress's approval. And when you consider all the factors, there's no way Congress should be approving this. Well, then you have to consider this Congress. So there's that. Adjust the mic a little bit here. Give me a second. Then you have to consider this Congress. So there's that. We'll talk about all 5 of the R's for recovery. It's a speech I put together, kind of like a TED Talk. That's going to be the entire second half. But first up, morning motivation. And I don't know if you remember this, some of you that are a little newer to what I do, but I used to do this a little bit more regularly. Something called morning motivation. I have a file that is comprised of nothing but photos like the one you see on the screen. It's a celebrity of some sort. And maybe only a celebrity like this guy is only a celebrity really in some certain circles. Like his is hospitality. This is Anthony Melchiori. He's the host of the show Hotel Impossible. Now, don't go looking at the TV guide just yet. It's not on. It hasn't been on in almost 10 years. Pretty close to it, I think, actually. And he still gets people, hey, when's the next season start? Yeah, it doesn't. There was something else he was supposedly working on, but it's not. It hasn't come to fruition yet. This was on the Travel Channel, as you can see there. And when sorry, 2 of the quotes that are in this file are from him, and this one says, "A setback is nothing but a setup for a comeback." So when you fail, it's not that bad. A lot of people get really bummed out by that. It's a learning opportunity. Nelson Mandela said something very similar. I never lose. I either win or I learn. and very similar to this. But we're going to talk about this in the 5 R's for recovery. That's why I chose it for today. I got to. Well, hold on one second. We got to take a phone call here. Hey, man, what's going on? You're on the air.
Hey, yours. What's up, man? Just calling in to say hey.
Thanks. Appreciate it. When's your big gig with Coast to Coast?
That is on May 29th.
Okay.
It is it's 12 to 2 p.m. Pacific time.
Now, that part is live, and then they podcast it?
Correct, yeah. So I think
Okay.
the podcast gets released a little later. But
All right. Oh.
yeah, man.
I'm trying
I love
to
the
actually
show.
take
Just
some.
calling in to say what's up.
Yeah, I'm trying to actually make some notes for you. So in the section where I do plugs at the end, but it jumped to another section of the show notes. So May 29th, Coast to Coast. There's something like Coast to Coast podcast or Coast to Coast. What's it called?
It's Coast to Coast AM.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, I looked that up the other day, and there were a couple other Coast to Coast things like trucking and things like that. But yeah, so it's going to be about your book.
Yes, it is. Yep.
Awesome. Do you have a link for it, like an Amazon link or anything?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and shoot it to you.
Yeah, send it through Facebook, or where should I look for it?
I will send it on Facebook.
Okay. And what is the whole title of it, so I get that right?
The Broken Mirror of Memory, Iraq and Other Tales.
Okay.
Yeah, man, just love the show. Love what you're doing to fight for a little bit of freedom in this country and just a little bit of equity. And I'm just as sick of it as everybody.
Yeah. And the thing that pisses me off the most is that conservatives, so many conservatives, what I'm still calling, I used to try to be nice, and I can't do it anymore. The asinine behavior, and I know anybody on any other side, progressive, liberal, or just the whole non-MAGA world, needs to make their side welcoming. But I just feel like there's got to be a little bit of pain to be administered first. And so, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to evolve if they want to get past what I call the Trump hump, which is in 4 years, he's not going to be able to run.
Well, that's what worries me. But
Mm.
they're looking at this third term bullshit. And sorry for being on the radio, but there's no other way to call it. He's actually looking at this knowing that it says he can't. The Constitution says he can't. Why would you look for a loophole for something like that? Unless it's all ego.
Well,
he's the third worst president in history, contrary to what these MAGA morons think.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, man. I mean, I hope that he ends up just stepping aside, going away and writing a book and just doing what all former presidents do, but I don't have a lot of faith right now in that.
No,
I mean,
absolutely not.
Looking for
first of all,
term,
he never wrote the books that he wrote in the first place. Somebody else wrote them for him.
Writers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not going to write a book.
It's just unbelievable.
I'm not sure that he can read. He hasn't read the Constitution. That's obvious.
No. And it's like, weren't you paying attention when you took your oath to uphold the Constitution? I mean, I took it. I was in the military. I'm sure you took it. You were in the secret,
Yeah.
I mean, It's pretty plain. It's pretty cut and dry.
But I don't think it matters. Did you watch him take the oath this time around?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. What was wrong with it?
You know, I try to block a lot of things out, but he didn't. I believe he didn't have his hands on any Bible.
That's correct. He didn't have his hand on anything, not even his so-called hot wife, who's standing there holding this Bible, and she's looking at him like, "Dude, I know I don't want to hold your hand any other time, but now's kind of an exception."
Yeah, we're on the public stage. You got to put your hand on the Bible. What's that? It's a Bible.
You know, people are watching, right? And so here's a little known fact. That's not the swearing in. Did you know that?
I did not.
The swearing in that takes place on the steps of the Capitol, or in this case, inside the rotunda, and I've got my very fact-supported theories about that. The actual swearing in takes place below ground before that ceremony. And the reason for that is if something were to happen during the course of the ceremony, he's already the president. His administration is already in office. And if something were to happen, he's the one that deals with it. So as sense. You were seeing Joe Biden in the background, he was already former President Biden. And so if he didn't put his hand on the Bible for the public one, what did he even do for the one behind closed doors?
How bad was the private one? You got to wonder how bad he is in private if he's this bad in public.
Right.
It's scary, man. And I just, I see the stuff with him banning trans folks from the military. I mean, if someone wants to serve and is willing to sacrifice their life for this country, go ahead and let them serve. I mean,
well, and that's the other thing. I told a story yesterday with Jane Stahl, and I've actually told this plenty of times before, so one more time ain't gonna hurt. When I was undercover in the Secret Service, I worked online, kind of like how the CIA monitors terrorist chat. I did the same thing for fraud. And some of the coaching I got, they said that in the event that some of the bad guys penetrate your system, it should look like theirs, meaning it should look like a normal computer system. It can't be all files of fraud, send this to the bank, send these to the bad guys. We were trading identities and recovering identities, things like that. So I began chatting with this one guy, hot dude, who was a team leader of I think it was from the Netherlands. It was a Dutch Marine team, which for this country, whether it's Netherlands or Brussels or whoever, the Marines are their special forces. That's their Navy SEALs. And he was the team leader of this 6-man team. And keep in mind, this is 20 years ago. This is about 19 years ago. We were talking about sexuality and what straights have concerns about and don't have concerns about when serving with members of the LGBT community, things like that. So he's in charge of this 6-man team. And he says, of my six guys, 4 of us are gay. Kind of led me to think he was one of the 4. 2 of the 4 are a couple. All 6 of us have played around together. Now let's do the math. only 4 of the 6 are gay, but all 6
all fool around.
have fooled around.
Right.
And this was 20 years ago. And we're still uptight about things like that, except, when we're not. I mean, there's the fraternity pranks and the more closeted or not so closeted really don't care unless they're around somebody that cares. And then, of course, they can't be a fag and, that kind of thing. But
right. And it's
more openly,
yeah,
we got to get over it.
There's a double standard, and it's because we were founded upon Puritan values. I mean, they were the first religious migrants to come to this country
but we weren't.
After the indigenous folks.
But the actual founding fathers, a third of them were deists or atheists.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They believed in the goodness of man as a higher power.
Yeah.
What would they be thinking
sort of a
now?
Creator God. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense that we would be a Christian nationalist nation, and that's where I see us going. And it's really sad. It doesn't have to be this way.
I think I see it going that way too, or at least trying. But I think there's too many non-Christian sects that would hopefully come together and say, no, this ain't okay.
Yeah.
Whether it's the Christian people
Christians that come together.
Yeah, exactly. And that would have to probably include Christians that are on, I'll say, probably the left, because they're the only ones that are going to be welcoming enough to step up and say this is wrong. I mean, how many Republicans have the opportunity to do that right now and are too big of pussies?
Yeah,
the ones who did step up,
because
the ones who did step up ain't there anymore.
Yeah, they got rid of him, and it became Trump's party. It really became a Trump party, and without him seeking a third term, I don't think the Republican Party has a good future, because what are they going to do, run J.D. Vance? I mean, I respect his military service in Iraq, but I don't agree with him.
I don't know that I do. You can't have a chain's only as strong as its weakest link. And you're only as good as your worst performance. And so if he does all that, let's say he's Rambo, and then he comes back and becomes Benedict Arnold. I mean, really, what do you call him right now?
Right. I mean, Benedict Arnold was a Rambo at the Battle of Saratoga, and then
Benedict Arnold was a badass. And that's why he didn't promote as a general, because he wasn't a politician. He was what today we would call a dumb jock. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right there.
And that's why he didn't get promoted, because he didn't play the game. And he got pissed off, and a little too pissed off.
Yeah. He ended up dying in England.
In poverty.
Too bad, so sad. Yeah. Too bad, so sad.
Yeah.
It's just sickening, man. It's I don't like the way the country's headed, and it's really scaring me.
My dad, knowing I'm gay and knowing I have a place overseas, he asked me if I was considering moving there during these 4 years. I said, and then what? Just come back because now it's safe?
Right.
I said, no, I'm needed here.
Right. And, you're needed to stand up for the country like a patriot, like you should. And
that's another word. These Christians, dads, husbands, patriots. You will never see patriot and words like it on my social media profiles. That is not a name for you and me to call ourselves.
Mhm.
You do what you do, and I tell people you're a patriot. History determines you're a patriot. You don't get to make that decision about yourself. Neither do I.
That's a good point.
That's something for
history
history
will
to
judge.
do. Yeah. And all these people who think that they're standing up for Donald Trump because he's the best president ever. If that's the best president ever, how old are you? 10 minutes?
Right.
Because
I
actual
mean,
professionals have labeled him the third worst. And I think that's being nice.
yeah, that's probably a lot of presidential historians. I mean, I have a little bias against George W. Bush. He sent me to Iraq, but that's neither here nor there. He may have been a nice man. At least he gave up power when the time came. I don't trust that Trump's going to do that.
No.
And it just scares the heck out of me.
And that's why Joe Biden wasn't my third choice in 2020.
Right.
But when COVID came around and he, Bernie, and Buttigieg got together and said, hey, we need to end this. We need to campaign. We need to stop this guy. They got behind Biden, and that's how the primaries worked out. Shocker. But then in 2024, Kamala Harris was the first one to drop out in 2020. Why would you pick her for a vice presidential candidate? Unless the only thing you wanted was to get the female vote, which barely worked.
I gotta wonder. Right. I mean, I gotta wonder why. Because to me, anyway, and that's just my opinion. And opinions are like blanks. Everybody's got one.
Yeah.
But
and some stink more than others.
Yeah, that's true. I would be thrilled to be enthusiastic for the Democratic Party again. I would be thrilled to be enthusiastic. But it's so hard to be because they keep doing the same thing over and over again. And it's like, aren't they paying attention? I have to wonder. I mean, I just saw they got rid of David Hogg as their vice chair last night.
Did that happen?
I saw it on X.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I actually just last night reached out to him as much as possible to do interviews.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You might get him now because he's going to be a lot less busy. And, that's a young man that is passionate and is affected by trauma. And he's someone, that I relate to as a combat veteran. And that's someone who's simply survived a shooting in our schools. I shouldn't say simply, but the fact that it happens in this country and that he can have as much trauma as a war veteran is just scary.
Right.
That he's that motivated.
Which shooting was he in?
What was it? It was in Florida, actually. It was the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas high school.
Yeah, it's actually not too far from here. Yeah, I know what it is. I can't think of it. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can.
Marjorie Stoneman Douglas.
School.
I know the guy's name was, I don't want to say the guy's name.
Parkland.
Just going to give him more notoriety. Yeah,
Parkland High
there
School.
it is.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's been so many of them, you can't keep track.
Well, there was just one. There was just the one up at the university 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
There was another one in Jacksonville. Yeah.
It's just craziness.
But yeah, my point about Kamala Harris was that in 2024, you vote for her for one reason. Because you'll be able to vote for her in 2028. Or, I'm sorry, you'll be able to vote for somebody else in 2028.
Mm-hmm.
With Trump, we
Right.
can't say that.
Right. We may not get a vote again.
You say,
I mean,
oh,
it's
he's not
possible.
going to. Yeah. Well, how many other things to which you said, oh, he's not going to do this, that, or the other thing, did he turn out
Mhm.
doing?
Right.
And going back on his word and just flipping over everything. Well, but he doesn't lie. Really? Have you not been paying that much attention at all? Ever? Doesn't take long.
It's just amazing, isn't it? He claims to be this businessman, genius deal maker. I think he's just like, well, I think he's worse than every other politician because he has the sure hubris, the sure avarice to disregard the Constitution and just do whatever he feels like. I mean,
Yeah.
federal judges are giving you orders. When a federal judge gives you an order, that's not something you ignore.
Right.
But yeah, just go ahead and ignore it because it's totally fine.
That's
just,
why I kind of think that there needs to be some beyond just them with the decision making process. Because Andrew Jackson said it too, and then J.D. Vance turned around and said the same thing. They've made their decision. Now let them enforce it. Why do they not have a law enforcement arm? They've used the marshals before.
You got
the marshals protect the courts.
You would know better than me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's who marched. I forget what her name was, but the black girl and the other students into, I think Montgomery, Alabama, for the Brown versus Board of Education decision when the schools were integrated. The U.S. Marshals,
the 82nd Airborne.
The U.S. Marshals, and was it Airborne?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
It was the Airborne Division, as far as I recall. Yeah.
I mean, I know U.S. Marshals did it, but I didn't know that Airborne did it too.
Right, and that's scary because that's from not that long ago, and people think, oh, it's so long ago that we didn't have even the semblance of decency and equality that we have now. There's still a long way to go. I mean, I personally feel, but it's from not that long ago. So for people to think that we can't slide back, that we can't go back to something that is so antithetical to the values that are enshrined in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution is just, frankly, it's asinine. I mean, when you look at the way that Germany built its anti-Jewish laws in the early 1930s, they based it off of segregationist America. And, you know, it's not good to be a model for something like that. So it's just a scary time, man. That's really all I can say.
Stay alert and keep checking in with friends. I'm actually going to talk about that later, is put together a plan to protect yourself. Because, I mean, my dogs were barking at the beginning of the show. Who knows who's going to come knocking on your door and for what reason?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, I check in with my family now very regularly, and they know that if I don't do that, something's wrong.
Well, yeah, because people are emboldened now, and especially you know, since you have a public profile. I mean, you know, and I mean, shoot, I guess I'm going to have one after the 29th. But
well, yeah, but even that,
I mean, you got to wonder.
I'm worried about the government. How many of these so-called violent criminals have no criminal record at all? To include,
right, because
Abrego Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
And how many of them are 5 years old with cancer or have been here for 30 years? What's that?
I said, yeah, deporting that kid with cancer was not a good look.
Oh, he doesn't care. That's the point. All he wants to do is whitewash this country for him and his rich friends. He's not doing this for you. Mm-hmm. He doesn't like you. He doesn't care about you. I'm not just talking to Joe on the phone.
Right.
I'm not talking to Joseph. I'm talking to everybody. I'm talking to you
Right.
listening.
What did he say? Right. Yeah. What did he say at his rally? He said, I don't respect my voters or something. He said something like that. He said, I don't even really like my voters, or I don't even really respect my voters. And everybody cheered. It's unbelievable. It's
Are
like
you
he's saying
people
what he
not
really
paying
thinks.
attention? You know what he just said, right? You're cheering the fact that
Right.
he doesn't like you. Maybe if I started talking like
It
that
was
to my
just a real
listeners, I'd grow a lot more of them.
maybe
I don't get it.
the key is verbal abuse. I don't know. I just don't get it.
Yeah, that's not me.
No.
That's not me.
No. You've got too good of a heart for that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
All right. So Joseph Soul. I pronounced the last name right too, right? Like Soul Man.
Joseph Soul.
Okay. Joseph Soul. His book is out. It is. Where'd I put that down here? At the bottom. The Broken Mirror. Right. I have it. Yep. The Broken Mirror of Memories.
Broken
Iraq
Mirror.
and Other Tales. He'll be on Coast to Coast
That's the one.
AM, May 29th. And what time did you say that was?
That is 12 to 2 a.m. 12 to 2 a.m. Pacific time. So it'll be streaming if you're a Coast Insider. I recommend signing up. I definitely did. I just love the show in general.
Okay.
But
cool.
Yeah, we're just gonna keep going and keep doing it, and just push as hard as we can to get the story out there. Because what it is it's my call for peace. It's my call to say, I remember when they lied us into the Iraq War. And that's what made me a Democrat. That's what made me a liberal. That's what made me someone who questions the conservative upbringing that I had.
Yeah.
And, I can just see it happening again if we get, God forbid, a third Trump term or someone worse than Trump. I mean, can you imagine? If there's a slippery slope and it's allowed.
The plan that I heard was that he was going to run with J.D. Vance. And then J.D. Vance was going to step aside. And
that's what Putin did in Russia with Medvedev.
Trump, but the thing about the problem with that one is to be the vice president and therefore eligible to be president, you have to be eligible to be president. So having already served 2 terms, then he's not eligible. So he can't be vice president. Everybody wanted Bill Clinton to be Hillary's vice president, but he couldn't because he's already termed out from being president.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. That's interesting.
So, all right, man. Well, thanks for helping me chew up a lot of time.
Peace out.
Pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's good. I was worried that I've got this whole plan for today's show. I'm like, oh, is this going to let me get through 2 hours? We did it. Well, 40 minutes, but I think we'll do it. We'll be good. All right, man.
All right, man. I'll catch you later.
Joseph Soul, everybody. All right. Bye. Cool. Nice break. Speaking of which, I've got to take one because we're way late now. And I think a puppy needs to go outside. Oh, no, she's going to lay back down. Did you want to go pee? No? Okay. All right. I do need to take a break. Ken quickly says, good morning, gang. Yergs, hope everyone's having a better day than I'm having today. What's going on, man? Let me know. Today people stated Trump is like a very abusive relationship. Yeah, and I don't know why people keep going back either. I don't know why they do it in abusive relationships. I've one time gone back to somebody that I was seeing that I actually separated from. And here I am single. So it didn't work. I think I'm going to, maybe. No, she's going to bathe. She lays back down with her brother. Okay. I do need to take a break. We're going to do that. And when we come back, I'm going to pick up where we left off, wherever the hell that was. Um, but, we talked about Anthony Melchiori. And yeah, so I got to talk about Dave Ramsey next. And we took the phone call. So yeah, Dave Ramsey's up next. He's not actually a guest, but we're going to talk about something that he said, and we're going to get into the 5 R's of recovery, followed by why we are an authoritarian government, if we haven't talked about that enough already. All right, gang, this is Up the Middle on the Mastiff Media Network. We'll be back right after this. What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym, but not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training. A dedicated area for stretching, dunk tanks, sauna, everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off, you can scream, you can yell, and you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum. All right, gang. All right, I guess it's time for another phone call. I missed him. All right, hold on. Travis, hang on.
Brother Ross.
Hey, my man, what's going on?
Nothing much. I was trying to, I got all these numbers, and I don't know which one is the call-in line. I just got lucky last time.
Well, I got to put that on the screen, man. I get. Hold on a second. We'll put that.
Or you can just text it to me. I was going to call in and comment on, you know what I'm going to be fired up about tonight.
Yeah. So tonight, 8 p.m. on Facebook is The Point with Travis Evans. I'll be co-hosting on that again, part of the panel. Which one? You've sent it. I've seen a bunch of videos. Which one is tonight's?
The actual audacity to bring these folks over from South Africa and then tell them that they feel their pain and suffering.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question, Ross? Or maybe you can ask some of these MAGA Republicans. Do they know how to read?
We were talking about that. Has Donald Trump even read the Constitution? You know, I don't know.
Does Donald Trump even know how to read, period?
I don't think so. I really, he didn't.
Let me tell you why I asked that question.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Let me ask you why I asked that question. Because nobody has ever heard of the word apartheid. Nobody's ever heard of it.
Yeah. I tell you a story about some people that I know. My realtor in Belize, or one of them actually, is South African. He and his family are white South Africans. And when they lived in South Africa, they were against apartheid. They wanted to see equality. They wanted apartheid to end, et cetera, et cetera. It ended. And now all the whites who knew they were anti-apartheid were out to get my realtor and his family. But blacks who didn't know that he was anti-apartheid were out to get him too. And so they're like, this ain't cool. We got to go. And that's how, back however long ago it was, they moved to Belize in Central America. Set up shop. He's a successful realtor. They've got a farm that they manage, all kinds of other life changes, but definitely something for the better. But yeah, that's my closest association with apartheid, with addition to having worked Donald Trump not Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, when he once meant Nelson Mandela. But yeah, that I don't get it. I don't
Insanity,
get.
man.
And Newsweek just said that Trump's approval rating went up. Let me check this a second. That it's
Well,
headed back up.
I,
Trump's approval rating reaches new low point. See, yesterday they were saying
I,
it
I don't.
changes. I don't get this. Yesterday they said it changed direction. Well, it was already going down.
Well, I think it's because he said something about lowering the cost of prescription meds,
Yeah.
and I think that's what drove it down. So this thing with South Africa, it's not. It didn't raise it up any. But the point is that I think what the problem is with most of these MAGA Republicans and these Republicans, they're not educated. They're dumb as a sack of rocks.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah.
They don't read.
So
if you pick up a book and read it,
let me jump in a minute. I said that same thing too. When a bunch of people were famously getting off the Trump train before the election, I said the same thing too. I said the people who are still supporting him are the ones who really don't know any better. And those are the people we have to help because they're not that bright and they can't help that. And David Beckmeyer, the host of Outrage Overload, another show that you can get on Yerg's Radio, said, be careful with that because there's also the intellectuals who have supported him that have got themselves decided, I'm so smart. How could I be wrong about this guy? He must be the guy. And that's my two brothers. They went to a private school that was very prestigious. And in fact, if you've ever seen the movie School Ties with Brendan Fraser, Matt Damon, and some other pretty popular actors, Chris Evans was one of them.
I saw it.
That school, that boys' school, was modeled after two real boys' schools. My brother's high school was one of those two schools. I'm the oldest. I'm the one that went to public school. And I'm the one that's retired at 51 years old. I'm the one that started another career that's bringing in money. And they're doing well for themselves. But they're also the type that are, as my dad would say, so smart they're stupid. And they've got their level of intellect and a conservative upbringing in this private school that, of course, they got to support. They actually went. My brother Randy went to school with DJ TJ, and my brother Ryan went to school. They went to this school. His kids went to their school, and my brother Ryan went with Eric. So they know each other. They're not going to say, yeah, your dad's batshit crazy. And so, yeah, I see what you're saying. There is certainly, and I look around and see some of my neighbors who can't read or much beyond the stereotypical seventh grade level. But there are also the intellectual people who have dug their heels in and just say, no, how could I be wrong? I'm not. This must be the guy. And for whatever reason, they get behind him.
reason.
Well,
I don't get it.
Jeff Daniels said it. So much of this, and we're seeing it now with the deportations and the acceptance of white people. Is this the only place in the world where white people might be a victim? I'll tell you, it's the only popular place where it's been known, and the post-apartheid era. And it's not like they were ever in the danger that the black community was been in for years in South Africa. But Jeff Daniels has said it. This comes down to one thing, and one thing only: race. The Republicans didn't want to play the race card until Donald Trump came in, and he made it not only okay, but cool.
But you tell us to stop playing the race card.
Yeah.
But you play it every day.
Yeah.
You pull that race card every day. You pulled it when you decided that you're going to call them people victims.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. But that's called projection. When you blame somebody else for your own faults. And the MAGA Republicans are just filled with projection. I'm like, do you people not have a mirror?
No, it's not racism if it doesn't happen. I used to tell all my white friends the same thing. Are you really going to sit there and tell me about racism and you're white? How can you do that? But I never got any fair shakes. I never got it. That's a lie. It's always a lie. It's been, and I've accepted it. I came to the conclusion, being raised in a religious black family, being raised with them, I had to deal with that and just accept it. This is 2025 now. Why are we still accepting it?
Yeah,
that's what I
don't accept it. Yeah, and I know. I think one of your pet peeves too is when we whiteys quote Dr. King. But how many times in his speeches did he give a shout out to the white people that were there supporting equality? I am definitely forever going to be one of those white people. If I'm the only one,
I don't have no question.
No, I because it's not that hard. All right, man. I've got some. I got some plugs I got to get to. I got to. We're going to lose one of our affiliates in 4 minutes, and I got to tell everybody to jump over to here. But check out Travis tonight, 8 p.m. On The Point with Travis Evans, and I'll be part of the panel every Tuesday night. It is Trapdoor Media. That's the page that it's on.
Yes, sir.
All right. Trapdoor Media on Facebook tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. All right, Travis. I'll see you tonight.
All righty.
All right, buddy. All right. So, Ken said that he stated in, I don't know, OEDA podcast last night, OJEDA podcast last night. He said that Trump can't read. Yeah, I question that a lot. Or just he's too lazy. All right. Well, a little behind today, huh? Kind of. It's a good behind. Okay, I just said that, didn't I? I mean, like, there's ever. Well, I know. I've seen some bad behinds. I don't want some of the behinds I've seen. Anyway, back on focus. Back on focus. Caroline Williams, the CEO of Happy Health, will be here on Monday for the second hour. That's the 19th of May. She just has an amazing story. And I guess our connection to government is that we suspect she may be targeted by government because it's possible that her product could very well be the cure for cancer. We're not saying that it is. We're just saying that she's had some amazing progress with her own illness, as has our mutual friend, my friend Aaron, who I didn't know had been diagnosed as well. And they both were on Fenben. And there's no sign whatsoever. Our meetup group is on meetup.com. Just search Radio Roundtable and you'll get it. And if you're in broadcasting of any sort, definitely get into that meetup group. We got some amazing people there, and we'd like you to be one of them. If you are somewhere in the world where you can't say, your government doesn't want you to say or admit that you listen to the show, write me an email through my hotel app or my hotel address, yergs@shayergs.com. Tell us from where you need a vacation, and we'll continue to make sure that you get the show one way or another. If you're on K-Shop, KSHP in Las Vegas, switch over to yergs.radio or yergs.com. Let me put them both up here right now, because you're going to lose us in about 30 seconds. So yergs.com or yergs.radio. And get hour number 2 as we finally get into the 5 hours of recovery. And that's I'll get through the others at the end of the show. For show notes and more information, go to mastiff.media or any of the other 2 websites. In about an hour from now, Sportcats Daily Gazette will be up. You can get that right here. Or if you want the video for that, go to YouTube at Para or Normal Guys. All right, let's get back into this. Ken caught it, of course. A good behind. Yeah. Plenty of opportunity there. I'll let you all have it. All right, so where did I leave off? So Dave Ramsey is, let me see if I can pull up a thing so you know who I'm talking about here. He is an investor, and back before it was cool, as I heard him say on this thing, back before, I can't think of his name, but Chip and Joanna were flipping houses. He invested into and flipped houses and was doing very well. Very well. At 26 years old. It was almost 40 years ago. And his banks got bought out. And the new banks are looking at the portfolios and they see this 26-year-old punk with millions of dollars of loans that he was paying on. He was doing fine with it. But they said, yeah, no, we don't like this. And they called in their notes, and he had nothing to do with it. He had nowhere to go. So he lost everything. And he and his wife, sat down together and figured it out, essentially. His 7 baby steps have helped me get a hold of my financial life. You see that right there. This is from his company now, Ramsey Solutions. The 7 baby steps. Step 1, save $1,000 for your starter emergency fund. Step 2, pay off all debt except the house. Step 3, save 3 to 6 months of expenses. Step 4, invest 15% of your household income into a retirement. Step 5, save for your children's college fund. Step 6, pay off your home early. Step 7, build wealth and give. I am in the process of step 6. And I'm looking to do that in probably about 5 years. He was speaking at, I saw it on Think Media's YouTube channel. A guy named Sean Cannell, rhymes with channel. That's his tagline, is the guy who literally wrote the book. Now, usually, like Travis, we were talking about race a minute ago, and I could say, Travis Evans, man, he wrote the book on racism and how to deal with it. Well, he didn't actually write the book on race. It's just a phrase that you sometimes use to express the expertise of the person you're talking about. Well, Sean Cannell literally wrote the book on YouTube. And when YouTube got a hold of it, they were like, well, it's pretty good. Yeah, this is accurate too. Well, this is good. And so they took him aside and said, hey, seems how you figured this out all on yourself. We figured we'd make it easy for you. And we'll take you behind the scenes a little bit and show you a little more. And now that's his business, is coaching people on YouTube. So he has a big convention on it, and Dave Ramsey is one of the speakers. And I'm watching this last night. And one of the points he made is something I've always made. It's just how I felt. But it is the reason why I should be doing what I'm doing. And that is because of you. And that's the title of today's show, that it's about you. When I find somebody that talks politics, some level the way I do, but to the degree to which I do, meaning like from the left and the right, but also, most importantly, lets you make your political decisions. I don't sit here and talk about Trump every day. And if he does something good, I'll point it out. I will. It just has to happen first. Also, I will fault the left when applicable. Like we were talking about their selection of presidential candidates over the past 2 elections. I'm out. When that show comes about, I'm out. I'll endorse that show. Say, hey, everybody, this guy believes the same thing I do. Instead of being divisive, I'm going to be inclusive. I would love for you all to go watch his show or her show or their show, or listen if it's audio only, whatever. And I'll go ride my jet skis all day. Happily. But I don't see that happening. And I need to do my part to teach, to encourage, to inspire you to be who you are. And for all of us to create the safest environment for that possible. And that was the point that David made last night, that as he was talking to a bunch of other content creators, he even said at YouTube Con, or whatever this was called, he said, this is probably going to be blasphemy, but I'm not a one platform creator. Neither am I. I'm going to 8 different destinations on video right now through Restream. I'm on, where else am I at? Chatter on video, which is separate from Restream. Biz Growth Collective, which is separate from Restream. I'm on, actually, we're not on that one. I'm on my Discord server, or will be in a couple of seconds. There we are. I forget which one I share here. There we go. I'm on Discord. A little late. Sorry, gang. Why? One of the things Sean taught us in the actual university, online university that he has for Think Media. Use your social media to direct everybody, all your listeners, to your YouTube channel. I said, well, that sounds great. At the time, my show was the Doggy Traders. It was about day trading and crypto investing. And it was a daily, kind of like a CNBC Kramer type of show. Although I wasn't modeling myself after Kramer. Jim Cramer, for those of you who don't know who that is, he's laughed at by the financial community. I said, well, what if my listeners, what if my viewers aren't on YouTube? These are business type people. What if they're on LinkedIn? And I grew my LinkedIn page 3 times the size of my YouTube channel in a third of the time that it took to grow that size of a YouTube channel. So I've always, since then, been of the mindset to be on as many platforms as possible so that when I'm needed on that platform, I'm already there. Are there platforms that I'm not on? Come on, you know there are. But I am where I can be. Why? Because I'm doing this for you. You shouldn't have to work to hear or see this show. And with that, I thought one of the things I've done for you that I've used in my life many times when things got hard are the 5 R's of recovery. And I didn't think to actually put together a graphic for this, but actually I did. I realized a little too late. I didn't have time to do it. But the 5 R's for recovery are, and I'm stopping screen sharing on some of these because it's not relevant anymore. I can go back to sharing when I need to. The 5 R's for recovery are, first, I got to go through where are they at? Well, I know like the first ones, but I want to make sure I get them all because I skip them. I'm never going to make this into a TED Talk. Retreat, reprieve, reassess, rejuvenate, and return. We'll talk about all 5 of those. I got to take one more break. And I'm probably going to save the authoritarian and Air Force One stuff for later because he just landed overnight in Saudi Arabia. And so we'll just skip the authoritarian government stuff. And I'll do a little bit to better prep that for tomorrow. And we'll go into the 5 R's for recovery when we come back. This is Up the Middle on the Mastiff Media Network. We'll be back right after this. Hey gang, it's Jurgs from Up the Middle. Are you conservative? Tired of being told what to think or how to think it? Or that you have to support a certain regime or quote-unquote administration? Switch on over to Right Talk Radio. Radio and conversation and political talk for free speech and for conservatives in their right mind. Right Talk Radio. Bye. Hey gang, my name's Jurgs. I'm the CEO of the Jurger Group and Mastiff Media. We're partnering with Dare Media of Australia and are looking for new content. Do you have a podcast or maybe a live stream? Does it have a positive message? Is it about sports? Is it political? Is it news coverage? Is it for the LGBT community? Or is it even music? Don't forget, we're partnering with Dare Media of Australia. So not only could your program be heard on our stations here in the United States, but also in Australia. So if that's you, send us an email on air at yergsradio.com. That's on air at yergsradio.com. The yergs.radio URL does not have email. On air at yergsradio.com. And let's get you on air. So during the break, I go back to shut the back door because during one of the other breaks, I let my puppy out. And it's fenced in, and there's a canal. She knows not to go in the water. Well, now I get up to get my coffee and then actually go shut that door because she's lying down with her brother. And I look, and there's this big pile of dirt behind me. She just brings in things from the outside and chews them up and gets my house a mess. Oh, this dog. She's so adorable when she does it too. I can't get pissed at her. All right. So we're going to go right into the 5 hours of recovery. Oh, and I need my iPad. Hold on a second. Actually, no. I can, the intro I can do off the top of my head. I know that. So this is a speech I've been writing, kind of like a TED Talk. Yeah, I mean, kind of like a TED Talk of sorts. It's a system that I've used when things weren't going well, and I had to figure it out. And that's retreat, reprieve, reassess, rejuvenate, and return. I started off with asking, what's your number? Now, if you're on Biz Growth Collective or Chatter or some of the other social media apps, you might be thinking I'm looking for a phone number to switch over to WhatsApp or texting or to call you. But then when I say that my number is 10, you think, oh, well, that's not a phone number. It's probably not his extension, or he would have given me the phone number too. Must be a scale of 1 to 10. And it's how he looks at himself. That's a justifiable guess. Not going to lie. That's not a bad guess. You're wrong. That's not what 10 stands for. 10 is the number of family, friends, and coworkers that I've lost to suicide. And if you have a bad day where you think for any level, for any reason, that suicide is a good idea, I want you to take these 5 R's into consideration. Just at least consider it and give somebody else the opportunity to help you through this, to help you through that situation, and to help you through the discussion of these 5 R's before you do something that cannot be reversed, that will affect more people than just you, negatively, very negatively. If you're in some sort of situation, the first thing you do, and this isn't cowardice, this is common sense, this is self-preservation. The first thing that you do is retreat. Why would you do that? Well, that's what we do in the Secret Service. If we're driving down the street and one of the cars up ahead of us, a bomb goes off, or any sort of attack, or if we're walking down a hallway or through a park, we're not going to go to where that attack is. We're going to go to where it was safe. And that's somewhere behind us because we didn't get attacked there. So retreat. Also, when you're injured, you go to what's called a position of comfort. If I hurt my shoulder and I can't remove my shoulder, I'll keep it close to my body. And I might even hold it with my other arm so that there's less tension and less pressure on the part that hurts. In fact, that's what a sling does. It puts you into a position of comfort. You need to be in that position so that you can do number 2, 3, and 4. Number 2 is reprieve. Let your mind rest. You can't do any of the reassessments. You can't rejuvenate if you're not first rested. When I was fired from professional baseball after my second season from being an umpire, I came home. Right around that time, my family was going to the beach in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. You don't want to be on the beach during baseball season when you're in professional baseball. That's not a good sign. Unless you're down here in Florida and you're on a day off. But I went to Rehoboth Beach and I just sat there. I got away from baseball. I got away from everything. And by taking that reprieve, it allowed me to reassess. And to reassess, we bring up our morning motivation once again. And that was Anthony Melchiori. I'm not going to make him the big screen. You've seen it. But Anthony said a setback is a setup for a comeback. Reassessing my professional baseball career. If I continue with this, maybe if I go back to umpire school to be reselected, maybe I can make Major League Baseball. Or should I move on? I knew what I wanted to do with my life if it wasn't professional baseball. But it was equally as unique as all of my other failed career goals. Radio was one of them. I was the Howard Stern of Penn State University when I was in college. I had aspirations of becoming a referee in the National Hockey League. I wanted to be a Major League Baseball umpire when I knew the NHL was not going to work out. None of them worked out. And I could not see myself just having a normal job. That's not who I was. It had to be on some level a career. So after, I don't know how long it was, but I worked at a grocery store doing midnights, stocking shelves. You want to talk about mind numbing. Try to stay up all night and work with people who don't like you, who you don't like either. And stock shelves. And so the one day I came home, I said, I've got to make a change. I've got to do something else. I called a limousine company in a nearby town called Lifestyle Limousine in Reading, Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, they're no longer together. But I called this guy. We interviewed on the phone. I said, I don't want to be taking people to the casinos and doing the party, bachelorette party thing. I want to work with the business executives who are going point A to point B. Yeah, lesser tips, but I wasn't in for the tips. I was in for some sort of salary and the experience. Boy, did I get that. From there, I went to an internship with a local police department, all of which was to develop my resume for the Secret Service, which didn't happen right away. So when the chief found that out, he said, well, if they don't want you, we'll take you. He went to his office, closed and locked the door, and spent the rest of the day filling out the application to Bill Clinton's crime bill, which created funds for law enforcement to pay for part-time police officers. That's what put me through the academy. That's what paid me while I was in the academy. And that's what paid me for the next year as a police officer in the North Coventry Township Police Department. Then the Secret Service called back and said, hey, we're reconsidering. Would you? And 21 years later, I retired from the Secret Service. So I reassessed and I put together another plan. But before that, I also had to rejuvenate, get the strength and get more of it. When I had whatever strength to go into pro baseball or to the NHL, strength, physical energy, mental energy, experience, anything that got me from point A to point A.5. Not quite to point B yet. I needed more energy than what I had the first time. You can't just turn around and try again when you've already depleted some of that energy. So after I had that vacation in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, after I had some time with a real job, realizing I don't want this to be my life, I rejuvenated and I reassessed and I attacked that problem again. This time, instead of pro baseball, it was the Secret Service. And this time, instead of the Secret Service without experience, I had it. And I got hired. And on June 17th of 2000, that Monday, I walked into the Philadelphia field office for day number 1. And that's the return. Come back stronger. In day trading, we say that failing to plan is planning to fail. That first, and I'm sure there's plenty of people that say that or have said that as a life coach or sports coach or whoever, whatever, wherever. That came to me from Nick Engels, my day trading coach. So shout out to Coach Nick for giving me that. And I came back stronger. I lasted through 21 years, 4 months, and 2 weeks in the Secret Service and left when I was eligible to retire. 3 illegal investigations done by the Secret Service into my sexuality. 2 came during the Trump administration. And when I proved to them that all they wanted to do was try to bully me into leaving prior to be eligible for the pension that I have now, they couldn't get away from me fast enough and closed those investigations before taking them any further. Now I take home about $5,200 a month for not going into the Secret Service anymore. Couldn't be happier. All right. Quick break. When we come back, we'll do Pierre's Pot. And maybe get into the authoritarian stuff in this new Air Force One. We'll get into that after all. We'll see. See how far we go. All right. This is Up the Middle on the Mastiff Media Network. We'll be back right after this. There we go. Hey, gang. My name's Jurgs. I'm the CEO of the Jurger Group and Mastiff Media. We're partnering with Dare Media of Australia and are looking for new content. Do you have a podcast? Or maybe a live stream? Does it have a positive message? Is it about sports? Is it political? Is it news coverage? Is it for the LGBT community? Or is it even music? Don't forget, we're partnering with Dare Media of Australia. So not only could your program be heard on our stations here in the United States, but also in Australia. So if that's you, send us an email on air at jurgsradio.com. That's on air at jurgsradio.com. The jurgs.radio URL does not have email. On air at jurgsradio.com. And let's get you on air. What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym, but not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training. A dedicated area for stretching, dunk tanks, sauna, everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off, you can scream, you can yell, and you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum. All right. Build the space. They've helped me with Jurgs.com. That's why you can watch this show right now through Jurgs.com. You can learn more about what they do by going to Build a Space. No, let me say that right. Build a .space. There it is. Like we're .media at mastiff.media. And now our stations are .radio. Rainbow Radio is .gay. All that. Build a .space. And their biggest product that they have is the Biz Growth Collective, where you can hear the show right now and every day. Go to bizgrowthcollective.com and check out Biz Growth Collective. Think of LinkedIn, but worthwhile. Because let's be honest, LinkedIn is just becoming a business level of Facebook. I got kicked off of it, but I used to get just as many Facebook bites. On LinkedIn, talk about people who think they know everything. Just as many as what I did on Facebook. You can't do that in Biz Growth Collective because it's about networking, not telling people how great you are, or how much you know. Well, except for the 24/7 room that you can broadcast in. But you can also leave that. bizgrowthcollective.com and build a .space. Go to those two or scan the QR codes on the screen right now. I'll let them up for a little bit as we move into talking about the fact that we are becoming an authoritarian government rapidly in the eyes of some experts. We'll find out just who those experts are in a second. But There we go. I wanted to start with just the Google search for a bunch of reasons. One, that's where I start, and that's why I always encourage you to start. But also, I wanted you to see what's here and about whom it's discussing. For those of you on radio, what I'm looking at right now is a simple Google search, like when I teach you how to fact check, the same place you would start. And all I typed in were the letters US, and I began typing the word authoritarian or authoritarianism, and I got to AUT, and as I typed the H, the word authoritarianism autofilled the rest of the search. And what you see on the screen were the results, the top of the 110 million results that came in less than a third of a second. Starting at the top is NPR. Ironic, considering he just signed an executive order that defunds NPR. Fitting, I believe. And we'll take a look at this story too. Some of them might be audio. I know one of them's video, and there's a bunch of things that actually we want to hear or see to see where they're going with it. But no other president got this. No other president got this because no other president deserved it. When George W. Bush had a Supreme Court decision against him, he honored it. He could have ignored it too and muscled his way through whatever. But he had the decency and professionalism and presidential image and authority to honor that Supreme Court decision. NPR says, it's actually one of these, U.S., hundreds of scholars say U.S. is swiftly heading toward authoritarianism. The Center for American Progress has a story. How democracies defend themselves against authoritarianism. This is key. Modernize legislative procedures to prevent governing abuses and obstruction. Term limits. Codify unwritten norms to safeguard judicial independence. Well, I mean, does that work? It blatantly says he can't have a third term. It blatantly says he can't accept a $400 million airplane from a dictatorship country. Strengthen electoral oversight and accountability to prevent manufactured majorities. Congress. Oh, well, that was a bad idea looking at all this stuff. It's just going to piss me off. NPR comes back again with, oh, that's the same story. Okay. Down here, hundreds of scholars. That's, yeah, that's the same story as the link up here. Okay. So, but then there's another one, Protect Democracy. Has a story. It says it's not just the United States. With few exceptions, democracies are struggling everywhere. As a result, 1/3 of people globally live in countries that are becoming less democratic. This is interesting. I'm not seeing any other. This one might, this protectdemocracy.org might be a show by itself. But let's do the NPR, and we'll see what that has to say. So this is from NPR. It was broadcast on WAMU 88.5 in Washington, D.C. AMU is the American University radio station, which is a very political science and American history university in Western D.C. It's just west of Wisconsin Avenue, which connects Chevy Chase up in the northwest to Georgetown down in the southwest. Let's have a listen.
President Trump has upended much of the U.S. government as we've known it. So
When did we go to dead air? Is it when I took my camera off the screen? Or what did that? Because that was an amazing story. What face resident sleeper? I have no idea what that means. Bob's uncle, hopefully you're still on watching on Twitch. For those watching, there's okay. What face? Okay, those are. I'm seeing that on the screen right now. In the chat, there's actually emojis. Okay, I get it now. I don't know what happened because there was a 7-minute long story from NPR, and it talked about it, an amazing survey, which, as you know, will be in the show notes, and you can obviously get it again. And it actually provided both sides too, which really bums me out. So Ken says, yeah, when you took the cam off, it went off. Okay, lesson learned. And you know what? I think I knew that before too. Damn it. Okay, so I wanted to take myself off so I could get a coffee and do what DJs do when they're playing a song, and in this case, a story. But well, thanks for those of you that hung out and knew something was wrong. Not that this was just a break. But what that story, it taught about more than 500 political scientists who had been polled at the time of the election last fall when Trump won, and soon after his inauguration. And even then, there was, I think, a 7-point slide on this particular scale on how much we are or are not a democracy. And that concerned a bunch of people, as you know, it should. Yeah, so I was, when I was sharing the screen, I was like this, and I went like this, and you couldn't hear me. So I think what I'll just have to do is go like change it over here, and now you can still hear me, as I'm seeing that, the levels on my microphone on Restream are still activated. So yeah, lesson learned. Ken, I'm going to do a test. Are you still there? I'm going to do a test of something while I got you.
President Trump has upended much of the U.S. government as we've known it. So we reached out to some leading scholars to see what they make of the administration's first 100 days and where they think American democracy is headed.
Okay, so I muted my mic, but not on Restream. Could you hear that in the condition that you're seeing the screen right now? Okay, cool. So he hears it. Now I'll know what to do and what not to do next time I play a video or video or audio and go refill my coffee. I'll play that again for you later, like tomorrow, or maybe I can play it after 1:00 if you want to stick around on the video. Obviously, radio is going to switch over to Sportcat's Daily Gazette, which happens in 5 or 9 minutes. But this story was talking about most scholars consider us having slid into a more authoritarian, not authoritarian type of government, but an authoritarian type of administration. There are still the systems of checks and balances. They're not being used, and that's part of the problem. But they still exist. Congress needs to get off their ass and step up and help the courts enforce their decisions. And I agree, I agree they've, excuse me, they've done what they can to keep him in check and offer fair decisions. Some of the judges that have ruled against him were judges he appointed. Others were appointed by other quite conservative Republican presidents, Reagan and George W. specifically. So it's not the judges. We talked about that already. We talked about that, and kind of sort of talked about that, I wouldn't say at length, but at least decently. We talked about where they came from, who appointed them. I mean, it's been all of the past 5 judges or presidents, to include Trump. So Biden, Trump, Obama, W, and Clinton. And actually, one of them was also Reagan. So 6. It's hard to believe that there's still a judge on the bench that was appointed by Ronald Reagan. Like, how young were they when they were appointed in 1988 or earlier? Or how old are they now? Anyway. But then there was this one political scientist from University of Buffalo, SUNY, State University of New York, Buffalo, who said that these political scientists are just left-leaning crybabies. And like, dude, and the thing that he brought as the example was the tariffs, and that tariffs are well within his purview, well within his right, well within his jurisdiction to levy against another country. Fine, but there's also the argument that if they are in fact a tax, that's up to Congress. And especially if it's really being paid by the people here in the United States. And furthermore, what this scientist wasn't addressing is the certain degree or level of normalcy and comfort that existed before this trade war was started. No, baby. Before this trade war was started by Donald Trump. So, yeah, I mean, we talked about projection earlier in the show. Talk about skewed. Talk about bias. And I'm not saying that all of the liberal political scientists are right either. But what I'm saying is, when you present an argument, have an argument to present. And it's okay to say, the guy in power right now ain't the best. And maybe he's not a total dictator. But when you've got people who, in this particular story, would not give their name or ask the journalist not to publish their name for fear of retribution. This political scientist was going for scholarships and grants, and didn't want to be told no because of the sheer participation in this story by a news agency that's been defunded by the guy they're talking about. So, yeah, I think our guy in SUNY Buffalo needs to reconsider his position at least a little bit. We got about 2 minutes left, and we got to bring somebody else out to talk about their show and what's happening today. Sport Cat, you there?
It's me.
Sport Cat's up next with his Daily Gazette. What do you got going on today?
Oh, we got all kinds of things. We got a Border Patrol dog that was rescued and taxpayers are bitching about it. We've got an economy that's increasing, food that's going down in price. We got all kinds of good news. How the hell do you have a show today, Ross, with all this good news?
We were talking about the 5 R's of retreating, or 5 R's of recovery, I mean.
Oh,
I had 2 callers today.
All right. Well, good.
Speaking of which, I do got to plug both of these before I turn it over to you. Check out Joseph Soul and his book, The Broken Mirror of Memories, Iraq and Other Tales. He'll be on Coast to Coast AM, May 29th at midnight.
That's my boy.
Yep, he called in today. And Travis Evans. And The Point with Travis Evans will be tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook. Trapdoor Media. Just Google Trapdoor Media. That's his page. And that'll be tonight at 8. And I think everybody else knows the other plugs we can manage.
All right, my friend. Well, I'm going to go spread some good news since you've been going over your 12 steps to becoming whatever. I don't know what the hell you're becoming.
Are you ready to take the radio?
One push of a button and I will be. Daddy will take control. Yeah, I'm ready.
You got it.
Give it to me, baby. Well, it says.
Oh, you.
All right.
For some reason, Right Talk Radio did not work right today. So I got to call the guys in Australia.
They tell me how to fix that. Preferences.
Yeah.
What is that? Live broadcast, right?
Yeah. And you'll already be on the other 2.
Okay. I think, yep, I'm on the air. Daddy has control, so.
You got it.
All right, everybody needs to come over to the Paranormal Guys. Get away from this guy with all of his bad news. Let's talk about some good news, because we are the anti-prepper doom and gloom. I am calling out their bullshit today, by God. So come on over. You're going to have a good time. These prepper shows were so pissed off today. They didn't have any bad news to report. I don't even know how you have a news show. They were resorted to putting doom and gloom pictures up and talking about effing Oreos. That was their doom and gloom. Come on, man. And then they reported your Kroger's guy, or your popular guy. He's like, Kroger's can't get food. And he didn't verify it with anybody. Somebody told him that. What the F? What the F? I'm so tired of this. I am so tired of this bullshit. You don't have a story to come up with, so you talk doom and gloom, get to clickbait, and then boom, the first story out of the gate. Oreo cookies don't have enough filling. What in the actual F is that got to do with doom and gloom? Oh, I'm pissed today. So come on over to the Paranormal Guys. You're going to hear me rant. I may even drop an F-bomb. Oh, my God, I'm so upset. So.
What would happen if any one of the broadcasters on Yerg's radio ran a story like that?
Well, I don't know.
How pissed would Daddy be?
You'd probably fire me if I said good news about Trump. So
no. Actually, yesterday his ratings were going up. Today they're going back down.
Yeah, well, it's a roller coaster. The market's going up. Yeah. So, and then next week it'll go down. It's a roller coaster. Come on.
Yeah. That's the one thing, maybe it wasn't all that great, but the one thing with Biden was stability.
Yeah, you're right. They can put him in a wheelchair and push him around. How about that? That's a news story today, too. So.
You know what? And, FDR spent 12 years in a wheelchair.
And Hot Wheels in Texas is doing it, too. So come on now. Come on,
Yeah.
I got nothing against wheelchairs. In fact, I'm probably going to be using one later today. So for myself. So, but that's another
There
story.
you go.
All right, man. I got to go. I got
right.
people to bitch about. So
Yep.
I ain't got no
Get
time
bitching.
for your shenanigans.
We'd be happy if you ain't bitching.
Come over to the pair our normal guys. You got a fired up sport cat today. I have got my fur up. So come on over.
There we go.
Join me over here. I am ready for you. Ross, have a great day. Love you.
You too,
I hope
buddy.
your 12 steps of recovery are good for you. I'll touch base with you tomorrow and make sure you haven't fallen off the wagon. So,
All right.
all right, brother.
I'll
Catch
be
you
on
later.
the anti-Trump wagon.
Oh, whatever. You're just anti-orange, man. Go see a doctor. Good Lord.
Yep. All right, buddy. There he goes. All right. Paranormal guys, he's already taken over. Or actually, Sportcats Daily Gazette has already taken over on Yerg's Radio and Rainbow Radio. Like I said, we were having some technical issues with Right Talk Radio today. I don't know what the deal is. So I'll reach out to our friends that are running that for us and unscrew it up. The video, we're going to kill that in a few. I already killed some of the other apps that we're on. That's it. Tomorrow, back here, same time, same station, to go up the middle, get off the porch, and run with the big dogs. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.